Welcome to the ABC Podcast.
Always be cool.
The show where your hosts, DC and BK, showcase your local business and real estate pros going gangbusters in leadership, community involvement, and just being cool.
Here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs, mortgage experts at Summit Lending, and partners in crime, Darren Copeland and Bobby Kerr.
All right, everybody, it's the Always Be Cool podcast, hanging out with your hosts, Bobby Kerr, Darren Copeland.
What's up, everyone?
All right, we've got a really cool guest today. We have Brien, the Executive Director for Cultivate KC. Brien, thanks so much for being here today. We've got a really cool opportunity to speak with you. Number one, right on the website, I love this. It says, we grow food, we grow farms, we grow community. So why don't you talk a little bit about Cultivate KC, what it's all about, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. So you hit on our mission, growing food, farms, and community. And we do that really with the goal of making local fresh produce available to as large an audience as possible in Kansas City. And most of our programs that are aimed at that goal are going to be supporting the urban farmer. So we have a training farm in Wyandotte County that's for refugees.
A training farm?
That's correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And anyone coming into our program likely had some growing experience in their home country. And when they resettled here, they were interested in starting a farm business to have some supplemental income for their family. And of course, the benefit to Kansas City is that we get another farmer who's producing local food for us.
Awesome.
That's phenomenal. So how do these people find out about you guys? Like, let's say, so I'm married into the Latin culture, right? So
Sure.
We have some Latin and Venezuelan, and like you said, they have a lot of experience, like maybe growing food back in their country, and a lot of them will come over here and open up their own restaurants even. So how does somebody even find out about like a Cultivate farm that you guys have?
Sure. So for the 16 years of our New Roots for Refugees program, it's been a partnership with Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, and they are responsible for the majority of the refugee resettlement in our area. So once somebody has found housing, their kids are enrolled in school, their healthcare needs are met, that's when they start thinking about workforce development. And if they're going through that process, they might get screened as someone who would be a good candidate for our program, and then they would get a referral.
That's very cool. That's very cool.
So talk about how you got involved and how long you've been with the organization, and tell us your story.
Sure. I have only been with Cultivate KC for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was in Denver. I worked at the Denver Botanic Gardens for over a decade and helped.
Denver's got a lot of cool stuff like this, I feel like.
I agree.
Yeah.
A lot of it was being driven by the Botanic Gardens. I got to help start a lot of the urban food programs there. A lot of that was partnerships with the local housing authority that also had a high percentage of refugee and immigrant populations.
Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
So in 21, I moved to Kansas City. I was actually from here originally, but hadn't lived here in over 30 years. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you grew up around here. So what made you, was it a job or something that made you go away for a little bit?
My dad's job, yeah.
Your dad's
I was a
job,
kid
okay.
when we left.
All
yeah.
right, gotcha.
And then I had made my way out west and just fell in love with the Rocky Mountains and being in that climate and growing in that climate. But as my family was growing and housing prices were getting more expensive, it was time to look in a different market. And I'd become familiar with Cultivate in 2016 when I was speaking at a conference that Cultivate was also at.
Nice.
And I thought, oh, that's in my hometown. They're doing everything I want to be doing. So I just kept it on my radar. And then when the time was right, made the move.
So when you made the move back, did you just hit them up and say, hey, I'm Bree, I'm kind of awesome. You need to hook me up? Is that how that happened?
Well, luckily our former ED, who was also the founder of the organization, thoughtfully placed the job on a couple national listservs. So I saw it that way. And then I did reach out immediately and say, hey, I don't know if you remember me from a couple conferences ago where we met each other and spoke. And she said yes. Well, I don't know if she really remembered me.
That's great. That's great. Well, tell us a little bit about the Midtown Hoedown coming up on June 24th. Yeah, give us all the details.
This is a one-of-a-kind fundraiser for us, and it's our first time doing it. It's at our Westport Commons farm, so right at 39th and Gillum. We have an 1.25 acre farm there at the old Westport High School. And Midtown Hoedown, it's a $35 ticket. It's going to be called dancing, so square dancing, but there'll be instruction.
Called dancing.
Yeah.
We would need a lot of instruction with
I
that
will
type
too.
of dancing.
I absolutely
right?
will too. But more than anything, anything, it's an opportunity to showcase your Western wear. The ticket price includes beverages. Tito's is providing some alcohol. Wild Child is providing non-alcoholic beverages, and it should just be a really good time.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. That's
Awesome.
amazing. And what was that date again?
June 24th, so next
So it's
Saturday.
coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That is
Let's
awesome.
go.
Cool. Well, Brien, anything else that really the people of Kansas City, anybody else that's across, first of all, are there other programs like Cultivate KC that have like these training farms, and besides like the botanical stuff in Denver, like what else out there for people that are interested in what you're doing? Where else in the country can they find things like this?
Sure.
What's going on?
We work with quite a few peer organizations around the country. There's Big River Farm outside of Minneapolis. Up in Des Moines, there's a branch of Lutheran Services, LSI. They have a couple very similar programs to ours around the country. I think Utah and Virginia as well. And Global Growers in Atlanta. So we're a pretty tight-knit network of folks doing similar work to what we're doing, specifically with our refugee program.
Awesome.
So I have a question. So the people that are listening, the people that are here right now, so where are you guys located here? So people, I'm guessing you guys are, I think you said is it serving Space Camp? Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're at the
Camper?
Space Camper Experience.
Okay.
You can come visit us there, and there's some fun activities back there as well.
Very good, very good. And tell everybody where they can find you online and get a hold of anybody if they want to get involved from a donation standpoint or any type of activity to be part of such a great cause.
Yes, please visit our website, cultivatekc.org. We're very active on social. We have a couple different newsletters, one that's for the general public, one that's more for farmers if you are looking for those resources. I think it's always good to remind people this time of year is one of the easiest times to support local farmers. Go to your farmers markets. That's where you're going to find them. In the winter, they still need your support, but you can do that in different ways.
Awesome.
So I have a quick question before we wrap it up here. So do you guys get contracted with like any local restaurants or anything like that want to like a farm to table type of situation? Do you guys do any of that?
Yeah, it's not, mostly what we do at Cultivate is work on the success of for-profit small farms in our community. So we have helped connect restaurants with local farmers, and we continue to do that.
That's awesome.
Very good.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add, Brien?
Can't think of anything. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
appreciate you being here. Guys, check out cultivatekc.org, a great food systems nonprofit here in Kansas City supporting local farmers, even with training farms, which is really, really cool. I learned something new today. Make sure to check out the Midtown Hoedown on June 24th, 2023. Miss Brien, Executive Director with Cultivate KC. Thank you so much,
job,
Brien.
Thank you very much.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Darren and Bobby thank you from the bottom of their hearts.
They hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave them a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in our community.
Also, feel free to let DC and BK know which business or community leaders you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on social media. See you next time for a new episode. And remember, always be cool.
This podcast is powered by Summit Lending, NMLS number 1850081, Equal Housing Lender.